Welcome to the 393 Legacy, a Gorilla podcast. We are back at it again. The countdown continues. And with us today is Spencer Krause, and we'll get to him in a minute. But a sneak peek into next week, of course, is the first thing on the agenda. And so it is another busy week at Solomon. Hopefully you're watching this on a Friday and before tomorrow, because tomorrow is Pizza Bingo and our concert with the kids. And so we've got a couple grades that'll have a concert, and then we'll have Pizza Bingo. Come on out and support our kids. Check it out on the website, further details. And I know they've put in a lot of work, so it'd be great to see everybody here on Saturday evening. Next week, we fast forward into next week, and we are in full activity mode. We've got junior high track next Monday. We'll be going to Harrington, and then I want to make sure I get all these right. There are a bunch of them. So we are at junior high is at Harrington. We've got golf is next Thursday. They're at Clay Center. Sorry. We've got high school track at Burton, and then a chance to watch the junior high student athletes participate here at home is next Thursday. So on Thursday, the 25th, we'll be hosting our junior high track meet here. So make sure you come out and get an opportunity to watch them compete. And then, of course, we've got JV Golf Scramble, and they will be scrambling next Friday at Gossel. And the day before, on Thursday, the varsity will be heading up to Clay Center. And so we're getting towards the end there to where we've got all sorts of activities taking place. And then we'll get the preview next week. But then, of course, the big event that I'm sure Mr. Krause is looking forward to is not this Saturday. So the week after Pizza Bingo is prom. And so, Mr. Krause can get all dolled up and look pretty and take his date and have a good time at prom on the 27th. So anyways, Spencer, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your family.
I'm Spencer Krause, son of Liz and Matt Krause. I have one older brother that graduated from here in 2019 named Logan, and I just play a lot of sports.
Well, good. So you came here. How long have you attended Solomon Schools?
I came here in fourth grade, so I think like 8 years.
8 years then. Perfect. We start off every podcast and just talking about some shout outs and some teachers who've had an impact. And of course, it's near and dear because your mom was a teacher forever and ever. And then, I probably put one too many ever, so hopefully she doesn't hate me for that. But a great teacher. Now she's our high school principal and doing a great job. But your teachers through the year, besides your mother, and you need to say your mother, by the way, but besides your mother, who are some other teachers that have had a positive impact in your life?
I would say my fourth grade teacher when I got here, Mrs. Schumar, she would be one. But also at my old school, I had a first grade teacher named Mrs. Hicks, who still to this day reaches out a lot. So I really appreciated both of them for making me feel welcome in a new place.
That's awesome. So hopefully you give a little forward and shout out and send this on to her so she can get that, because that's teachers like to hear those things. As you transition to junior high and high school, and then you get involved in some opportunities with coaches and you get activities. Anyone that has helped you as you've tried to figure out this thing called life?
Yeah, I would say Coach Rizzo, who coached football, he was around all 4 years, and we've always been super close, and he's always stayed in touch. And then also Coach Stein, obviously, he came in later, but we've grown a very good bond that I'm sure we'll keep for a while.
Yeah, that's great, and I think that's we always talk about how make sure my phone doesn't go off in the middle of this. We always talk about how it's not just teachers, but it's also the activities, whether it's FFA or choir or, whether it's forensics, whoever it might be, a teacher or a coach or a sponsor. So that they play a vital role too. As we look into next year, what's on the horizon for you? I see you're sporting the Yotes, which I'm very proud to say that I'm an alum, so that's awesome.
So next year I will head to Kansas Wesleyan to play basketball and major in sports management and minor in marketing.
Well, good. And I know it's a process, so you might talk about how that process took place and what was the final decision to be a Yote?
Oh, well, it all started when Coach White, which is one of their assistants, he reached out to me through Twitter because he saw my film. And then we just kind of talked a lot over social media, and then he got my number, and then we just kept communicating through the year. And then they gave me an offer. I thought about it. I was like, well, I don't really want to play college basketball. I think I'm done. But then I took a visit, and the more I got to know them and their program, I just realized it was something I really wanted to be a part of.
Awesome. It's got to feel right and fit right. So that's a good thing. And the good news is that it won't be far for mom and dad to go watch you play. So that's a good thing. And also the Solomon supporters out there. It's be close, a little drive for you to go support him. And so as you looked into sports management and marketing, right? I said that right? What made you decide, did anything at Solomon prepare you to make that decision?
Well, just being able to play sports. It's a small school, so everyone can play sports. But I also took all of Mr. Douglas's business classes.
Okay.
And so that really opened my eyes to the world of business and how I could actually really enjoy dealing with everyday business throughout my life.
Good. College is expensive, and we bring this up with everyone, and those that choose not to go to college, and you're choosing to do that. And some opportunities here at Solomon. So you might let the listeners know how many hours you have and just talk about some of the classes that you've taken to prepare for college.
I've taken 29 college credits. Well, as of the time I graduate, I've taken 29.
All right.
There's been some harder ones. There's been some ones that aren't as bad as I thought. Like a college biology is not that bad, but like college math, that's big because I did not want to take that once I got there. So.
Mm-hmm. College bio was, as a former Yote, there was a long time biology teacher at KW, and my senior year, I thought he was going to retire as a sophomore and as a junior, and he was still there as a senior. And I decided to go down to the rivals because he was so hard, and people ended up taking college bio. And I waited till my senior spring semester to take college bio, and I drove down to Lindsborg so I didn't have to have him. So good choice. Oh, yeah. There's always a few of those in college. So where do you see yourself? You graduate, you're a Kansas Wesleyan alum. Where's life, and what's the plan now? It'll change 5 times, trust me. Yeah. But what's the plan now beyond being a Coyote?
Right now, I want to then go get my master's at Wichita State, and I took a visit there, and I really liked their sports management guy, and he said he's very good at getting people into internships and working on campus, so that's where I plan on going.
Clay's a great guy. My wife and him, obviously in their grad school, when she did her grad school down there, became good friends and have since stayed in touch. And I had him for one class when I did my master's at Wichita State. He's just a great guy, and he's somebody that can get you connected. So very wise, and very wise to go to Kansas Wesleyan and give it a shot and stay close to home and then go to Wichita. Wichita can be a little daunting. It can be. But I think that's a good future track for you, and hopefully, the advice to everybody else is to make sure you look at all options as you're doing that. So that's smart. You didn't rule it out initially. I mean, you ruled it out initially, but you know that's probably where you want to go in the future. So now we get to the section of the podcast that you get to tell appropriate, funny school stories that you can share with everybody, and mom and dad will not be embarrassed. They'll still be proud of you. What would be some of those stories you might be able to tell?
I think some of the good ones come from on the weekends when we all would get together and hang out at my shop. And there was one time where it was the night, we just had team dinner. It's the night before we go to Harrington to play football junior year. And we're out there playing volleyball in the backyard. And Evan Thompson, who was a year older, he stepped in a hole and about broke his ankle, and then we had to then tell our coach that he stepped in a hole at his house so he wouldn't get really mad at us. But he couldn't walk the next day, and we had to play a football game. So that was a good one. Yeah,
that was probably not was not a good one because I remember the result of that game, so it wasn't a good one. So, but yes, it's still about making memories, of course. In that group, you guys made many memories. I'm glad that's one you shared, and maybe not a few other ones.
Yeah,
that's probably a good idea. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to throughout the years at Solomon that you haven't been able to mention?
I would just say, like, my brother was a big piece in my upcoming. He was always around. Even when he left for college, he was very good at staying in touch and coming back. So I just felt like he was able to kind of show me the way, and then now I can learn from his experiences and take it my own way.
Not a harder worker out there and a great role model to have. Just, you know that as a brother, but also seeing it from the outside. I mean, he's one of the hardest workers I've ever met. There's no doubt about it. So kudos. That's a great one. As we look to graduation, which is how many days away?
14.
Yeah. It was discussed in my house last night. Cannot wait was mentioned, I think, a few times. So 14, is that school days? Is that total days? What do we got?
That's 14 school days.
School days. Because I think mine said it's 21 days total. I'm done. And I'm like, oh, is that right? So yeah. Are you nervous? Are you looking forward to it? Where are you at in that 14-day process?
I think I was very nervous, but now that I kind of understand that I'm staying close to home,
yeah.
It doesn't feel as nerve-wracking. But it also is sad because, I do enjoy it here, so it'll be rough.
Good. And then when you go off to college, it doesn't matter whether you're 12 miles away or 200 miles away. It's still a chance to go away and explore who you're going to be in the future. So, what about those freshmen that are coming in? There's a large 8th grade class. Any advice for them as they enter into freshman year that you're like, wish I would have done this as a freshman, or maybe I should do this.
I would just say, don't try to follow in someone's footsteps. Like, create your own path. Don't go in with a fixed mindset. Just be you, and whatever happens is going to happen. Just go with it.
That's one of the things I've only been in 3 schools, and that's very wise because in the 3 schools that I've been in, this is probably the one where, and every one of your classmates, or pretty much almost every one of them, have said, just be who you are. And that's something I think so cool about Solomon is that you can be just who you are. That hasn't always been the case in other places I've been. There's been years it's been easier, but there's years it's been hard in other places. And so I think that's just a credit to the families and the kids here at Solomon. So just be who you want to be. All right, man. Anything else before we wrap it up for the day? It's been a good interview.
I don't think so.
Nothing. Okay. Well, there were 2 interviews. I was worried that I thought we might go like a half hour. Yours was one, so I appreciate it keeping it brief. The other one was one of the first ones, and she did a good job. So I appreciate it. It's been fun. I wish you nothing but the best. It's been awesome to see you grow up and be a close friend of my son, and see you guys grow and mature and grow up together. And I'm glad you didn't tell all the stories. So that's good. Every parent is appreciative of that. And wish you nothing but the best next year. So
appreciate it.
Countdown is on. 14 days. You heard it. And so there's a lot of opportunities to go out and watch these seniors yet still represent Solomon and the different activities that they participate in. And so we didn't even get to that. I'm going to back up before I close. I got to back up before that because you're going to run tomorrow, right? When everybody hears this?
Yep, I will be running my first track meet tomorrow.
You sort of skipped over that. So that's a major thing. We need to talk about that for a minute.
We can.
Okay, so you tell the listeners. I knew about it. It's the reason why I didn't even bring it up. I'm like, I know the story, but nobody else does. So talk about basketball season and the adversity you went through, and then where you're at tomorrow and the whole journey.
So back in October, I was playing a football game, and something felt wrong the next day. And I was very confused, and we played it out for the last week of football season. And then I went to a doctor, and he was like, I think you just have fluid built up in your knee. So we were like, okay. And then a couple more weeks went by, and they were like, okay, maybe we should get this thing MRI'd, because even when the fluid went away, there were still problems. So I got an MRI. They told me I had a torn meniscus. So then we had to decide, do I get surgery now? Do I wait? So I decided I didn't want to miss senior basketball season because they told me that was a possibility if I got the surgery. So I ended up playing the whole season, and it was hard at first not being able to play the way I wanted to be able to play. It felt like at first it just kind of felt like I was holding everything back, and then they put me Coach Stein and Coach Douglas did a really good job at putting me into roles and situations to where I basically learned how to play a new game, and I was able to focus more on setting up others than more of helping myself.
Right.
So that taught me a lot just about leadership and unselfishness.
Sure. Sure. There's roles on every team. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to just score, and everybody unfortunately looks at the box score and thinks that there's not just scoring and rebounding. There's other things that take place out there. That's why there's 5 of them out there. So you stopped on the journey. So after basketball season.
Right after basketball season, we went on
Yep.
spring break, and then the day back from spring break, I got my surgery. They went in, they said my meniscus looked good and that it was just a bunch of cartilage and tissue all broken up, floating around, which caused irritation that then made the inside of my knee start swelling, and so that's why I was getting so much discomfort. So they just cleaned that out. I went to physical therapy for about 3 weeks, and I started that about a week after surgery, so it's been about a 4-week recovery.
And 4-week recovery, and you're going to run – what are you going to do on Friday, 4x4 or 400?
We want to run the relays, but we don't have everyone healthy yet, so I'll just run the open 4 and the open 1.
Open 4, open 1. Okay. Well, good. Well, that's an accomplish right there. It doesn't matter how fast you run it or how slow you run it. It's not going to be what you want it to be, and it's a process. Mm-hmm. It's always a process, and the end goal is to punch a ticket to state.
Yep.
So, and that's just about 6 weeks away. So, about 5 weeks away, actually.
Yeah.
5 weeks away until regionals. And so, wish you nothing but best there. And it is amazing to see how quick of a recovery it's been. So, it'll be good to see you run. That is right. And the last perfect segue. So, I'm glad I came back to it because you get a chance to watch our athletes, track athletes, run at our track Friday, tomorrow. We're recording this on Thursday, of course, and so tomorrow night we will be running under the lights in our first invitational. We have 7 teams participating this year, and I think we already are up to 11 or 12 for next year that want to come. And so scheduling usually is a 2-year process, so it's one of those things we'd like to grow it and make it an annual tradition. And so with the beautiful facility we have, we're excited to host everybody, and so look forward to seeing everybody out here on Friday night and get a chance to watch this guy come back from surgery and compete for the first time this year. So best of luck there. All right, now I'll wrap it up. See, we got a little bit more there. That was perfect, and I apologize for not asking that earlier. So it's been great to have Spencer on board, and we will be back next week. We're running out a little bit of time, so we're going to have a couple in each week here possibly, and you'll see maybe 2 of them drop, maybe one middle of the week and one end of the week. And so until next week, everybody have a wonderful weekend. Stay warm. Looks like it might be a little chilly and rainy out there, so not quite summer, and we hope to see spring back a little bit next week with all the activities taking place. We'll see you next week on the 393 Legacy, a Gorilla podcast.